The next sections that we're going to talk about are the project methodology, the financial budget, and discussion recommendation sections. Okay, in your project methodology, you want to describe how you solved your problem in a concise manner. You should not start your project methodology by talking about how you met with your nurse leader, how you shadowed your nurse leader. I don't want any of that information in there. Don't chronicle anything that you've done with your nurse leader because that shadowing was a separate and beyond um, what your project was. Where in your project methodology, you only want to talk about how you solved the problem. Okay, so you need to kind of sit down first and list out everything you've done. You've done some observation. You created a poster. You did some research online. Um, you did a survey. You did a budget plan. You did a time study. You did an educational plan. Whatever it is, list everything that you did in your project. And then you talk about those things briefly, and then you, if you can show it in an appendix, then you show it in an appendix. Okay, so you might, for example, might talk about an extensive literature review was done to gather articles regarding Hispanic women and cardiac disease utilizing Ovid and Medline databases. Okay, you can't show that, but you've taken credit for it. You just state that that's what you've done. Then you might go on to say a 3-day observation was performed to ascertain the flow of patients, admissions, and follow up processes in the women's clinic. Interviews were performed with 6 Hispanic women. For a detailed interview guide, see Appendix A. For the interview results, see Appendix B. Okay, so you've created something, then you refer to an appendix. All appendices, and this is the APA of it, it's in parentheses. The S in C is small, is a small letter, so a small S. The appendix, the word appendix, has a capital A, and all appendices are capital letters. You have to show all appendices, however you write this is however you've set it up. So just be clear. So I should see when you talk about one particular thing, if you're going to show me your poster and you say it's in Appendix A, that then I should see that in Appendix A. But you shouldn't write what's in Appendix B before Appendix A. I shouldn't see Appendix B before I you know, see Appendix A. It has to be written and shown in in alphabetical order. Okay. So again, you briefly talk about what you've done, and if you can refer to an appendix, you refer to appendix. If you just stated that you've done something, then just state that you've done it. Another example is a survey was developed in collaboration with the clinical nurse specialist. You can mention their titles, but not their proper names. Okay. To get more information on how the nurses perceived Hispanic women and their educational needs, see Appendix C. All right. So when I look at Appendix C, I should see that information there. And then you can say another example is a time study was conducted regarding scheduling times for the OR. For results, see appendices. That means you're going to be showing more than one, D through G. And the APA of that is the word C appendices, and then you show a capital D dash capital G. And you can, I have this all written down on page 22 in your syllabus as well. So again, making sure that you've taken credit for everything you've done, excuse me, and that you have your appendices labeled in alphabetical order with all your information. Some projects have 20 appendices. Some projects have 3 appendices. If you've created a PowerPoint, if you've created, like a policy, then I need to see in the appendices 2 different appendices, the old policy, and then I need to see in another appendices the revised policy. Excuse me, for a PowerPoint, that needs to be in its own appendices, and normally the students would do maybe 6 slides to a page, or 9 slides is a little much, but sometimes 6 slides to a page or 4 slides to a page, so that you can capture all of that in one appendices. You taught a class, then you might show me your outline of your class notes. Again, if you did a poster presentation, just take a picture of the poster, and then that's going to be a part of your appendix as well. So, any questions about your methodology and what kind of goes in it? If you have any questions, please ask. The financial budget section is an optional section. Um, if your leader has given you a budget that you need to follow, then you need to show that budget and you need to show everything you've included in that budget and how you broke that budget down. For instance, I had a student that had to do a project for a summer camp, and she was given a budget that she had to stay in for this summer camp. So she had to plan the meal, she had to plan the cost of the staff, she had to plan, the cost it was going to take per day to run the unit. That was all included in her financial budget, and she had to show that in this section. But most times, most projects don't lend themselves to financial budget information. So if you and your leader never discuss the financial budget, there is no talk of money. You don't have to worry about a budget. Then you leave this section totally out. Don't include it in your paper at all. I don't want you making up information to put in a financial budget section. You didn't have it, don't worry about it. But if she's asked you, in addition to everything else you did, to give her a breakdown of say how much the printing cost, or how much they may anticipate spending on on pamphlets or ordering 10,000 pamphlets, whatever it is, or brochures, then you need to include that information and you would put it under the financial budget section. You would break down the cost of everything that she's asked you for printing and where, maybe several printing places and what those costs were at those places. And then that would be your financial budget section. Okay. So if you have a financial budget information, that's where it goes. If you don't, leave this section totally off. Don't even make a heading for it. Just totally leave it out of your paper. The last section is going to be your discussion recommendation section, and this is just fancy for conclusion and wrap up. You're going to give some final thoughts and some suggestions to your nurse leader. And if you've done a new plan, say they're implementing a new policy and they want to see how this plan is going, that's fine. What you should do in your discussion recommendation section is suggest an evaluation period. Set it up to 3 to 6 months, that they should evaluate, this new process or this new policy and see how it's going. You've been doing this project for several weeks now, so you should have some type of suggestions, some types of pearls of wisdom for your nurse leader. So I would expect to have see a few recommendations in your paper, and that's it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.